The scars and stains of racism still remain deeply embedded in American society. Whether it is stop and frisk in New York or injustice in the Trayvon Martin case in Florida.
And horrific violence that has taken the lives of Trayvon Martin and young people all across America.
For today, 50 years later, my friends, we are still crippled by practices and policies steeped in racial pride, hatred, and hostility, some of which have us standing our ground rather than finding common ground. If freedom is going to reign in Libya, in Syria, in Egypt, in Florida, then we must reach across the table, feed each other, and let freedom reign.
Today, there are no white sheets, but there are judges in black robes in the U.S. Supreme Court who struck down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, opening the floodgates in many states to pass more voter ID laws to block people of color and young people from voting, with the goal of ensuring we never see another black man elected to the president or woman of the United States of America.
Some of the insensitive and divisive rhetoric from yesterday's 50th anniversary celebration of the March on Washington. Here with reaction to that much more, radio talk show host Richard Fowler and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. The Supreme Court, you're going to compare them, Richard, to the KKK and Florida? You're going to compare to Syria? And we're going to make the I Have a Dream speech about Trayvon Martin? Really?
Well, I don't know how I feel. Thanks for having me first, Sean. But I got to tell you, I think what these individuals are speaking about yesterday is what the community feels and what the African-American community feels.
Hey, Richard, what part of my question didn't you understand? I asked you, they were comparing our Supreme Court to the Ku Klux Klan. You're going to defend that? You're going to support that? Is that what Martin Luther King was talking about?
Wait a second, Sean. Wait a second now. I think what they're trying to say is when the Supreme Court can sit there and gut the Voting Rights Act, even though we know that we have voter suppression happening all across this country, we have a serious problem.
Excuse me. I don't need your interpretation. We have the words of Melanie Campbell. No, today there are no white sheets, but there are judges in black robes on the U.S. Supreme Court. Comparing our justices on the Supreme Court to the Ku Klux Klan? You're going to defend that?
No, it's not what they do. It's what they justify. They justify voter suppression. They justify voter suppression, Sean.
It's not voter suppression. You know,
it's not voter suppression that African Americans wait 2 times longer than white folks to vote. That's not voter suppression.
Okay, I waited a really long time to vote last time, and I didn't complain about voter suppression.
Where did you vote?
It's called in Virginia, which is, you know, used to be part of the Confederacy. And it's my turn to talk now. If you're going to do TV, you might want to learn some TV etiquette. First of all, let's talk about the fact that Bill Clinton spoke yesterday. When Bill Clinton, we want to talk about the Ku Klux Klan, Sean? Let's talk about Bill Clinton defending Robert Byrd for his participation in the Ku Klux Klan as a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
You know who his mentor was?
That's a straw man, Katie, and you know it.
It's a fact.
Bill Clinton's mentor was J. William Fulbright, known segregationist.
Exactly. The only Republican on stage yesterday was Abraham Lincoln, right, at the Lincoln Memorial.
And ask yourself why. Wait a minute.
I'm speaking
ask
now.
Yourself
Richard,
why.
let her finish. Let her finish.
Let me finish. You want to talk about voter ID? The one Republican who was invited not to participate in a speaking position, but to only attend the celebration yesterday of Martin Luther King's 50th anniversary was Tim Scott, who is the only black senator in the United States Senate, and it just so happens that he supports voter ID. He doesn't think voter ID, he's from a southern state, by the way, he doesn't think voter ID is all about voter suppression because it's not.
Let me ask you a question about this.
And you guys didn't invite him to speak. Why? Because he doesn't show the line on that agenda.
Let's get the facts. Even if he was invited to speak, his staff indicated that he wasn't even in town to come to the rally to begin with.
Mr. Fowler, I got a question for you. Now, I went to the DNC convention in 2012. You know what I needed to get in?
A credential?
A photo ID.
That's not true. I was at the DNC convention. I needed
a photo ID. Now, I have a question for you. If we needed to get into the DNC convention, what is so wrong with people having an honest system where people identify themselves while they're voting to be Americans? Tell me what's racial about that in any way.
Hope I will tell you exactly what the problem here is, Sean, is that they're mandating a certain... They're mandating a certain form of ID, so they don't allow student IDs.
For black,
wait a second,
white,
Sean.
Hispanic, Asian, every American.
Wait a minute, Sean. Why is it that students aren't allowed to vote with their student ID, or a senior citizen, or a senior citizen who doesn't have a driver's license has to pay for an ID?
I can go down the street here in New York. I'm asking you, what is wrong with a photo ID to prove you're an American so we keep our electoral system honest?
What world do you guys live in where you think that there's tons and tons and tons of illegal immigrants voting?
What is that? Okay, let's get back to the issue of photo ID. Going into the NAACP convention every single year, you have to have photo ID. When Attorney General Eric Holder speaks at these conventions, you have to show an ID.
That is not true.
When you go into the Department of Justice, you need a photo ID. Yesterday, the ironic thing is that hundreds of thousands of people went to Washington, D.C. They traveled to Washington.
That is the distinction that has not been answered.
Let me finish my point, sir. If you're going to do television, you need to learn how to be respectful and take your turn.
You won't answer my question, so you be respectful and answer my question.
You're not the host of the show, sir, Richard Fowler. The main point is hundreds of thousands of people came to Washington, D.C. yesterday and from all over the country. What do they need to get there? Either they need an ID to get on an airplane, they need an ID to get in a car,
forms of ID, not one mandated form, which is the law that's in Texas, the law that's in North Carolina, the law that's in South Carolina. Would you like me to continue?
I got to go. We'll give Katie the last word. Mr. Fowler? You can't let her finish. It's all right. We'll give you time.
Thank you.
Coming up next tonight, right here on Hannity.
You've got people talking about nullification of the law of the land. You got people talking impeachment like Coburn. You got Ted Cruz out there. They never say their problem with Obama is that he's black.
Probably some of the dumbest things Chris Matthews have ever said. We'll show you when we get back.